Okay. And if you could just tell me like your name, your position, and everything that you do, just to get started, yeah.
My name is James.
Mhm.
The other name is Doro.
Okay.
I work for Naboisho Conservancy as a compensation officer, and my work base is this office.
Okay.
Yes.
And you said you're the the
Compensation.
yes, compensation.
Yes.
Okay. So, in a month's time, what is the process before you compensate someone? So a lion attacks someone's cattle. What happens?
The program itself started in the year 2019, and the Conservancy started back in the year 2010. So that means there was a whole 9 years before the establishment of the program.
Wow.
So what informed the establishment of the program is actually the precedents that existed, or rather the disharmony that existed between the people and the wildlife. So the main aim of the project was actually to implement one of the previously set objectives, that was trying to create that cordial, or rather coexistence between the people and wildlife. And one element of that is actually trying to manage the conflict between the livestock and the wild animals, the killer wild animals like the cats, the hyenas, and certainly elephants. So because of that precedence, there was a need to come up with an initiative like this one. It's more of an insurance, because not everybody living around the Conservancy is subscribed to it. It is only for the landowners.
Okay.
The people whose land, is within the Conservancy. So, because for that reason, there was the need to establish this program to see whether that the disharmony between the livestock, and the wild animals can be mitigated, because it cannot completely be solved. So there was the need to at least try to mitigate the impact. So during the establishment, the landowners were brought together. They were informed of the need to do this, and they were informed of a way of financing the project. They were informed as well of the policies that were put in place to guide or regulate contact, the members' contact, the staff contact, and any other party involved. So the finances of the project entirely comes from contribution from landowners themselves. That is 1.18% of their monthly lease fee. They get a lease fee, as you might be aware already, at the end of every month. So 1.18% of the same monthly lease fee goes to the compensation kitty. And during the actual compensation, we do not call it compensation as such. It is a consolation, because we do not pay the actual market value of a livestock. We only say pole, or rather sorry, so that we can see whether the perception, of the relationship between the wildlife and the people can be seen rather as a challenge, but not a problem. So we do not really compensate, we only console, because as you might be aware that we only give Kenya shilling 10,000 per cow lost, to Kenya shilling 2,000 per sheep, and that is not the actual market value of a sheep or a cow. So we only say pole, we say sorry, but we actually do not compensate. So the process of compensation is that once an incident is reported, either by the landowners themselves, the Conservancy rangers, or any other person, there is the first need to visit the site. We do verification. We verify whether this is, a death that happened by a kill or a natural death. So there is the need to first be in the incident, in the scene of incident. So after that, we collect all the information necessary, the name of the owner of the livestock, the nature of the kill, what livestock is it? Is it a cow? Is it a sheep? We do a collection of all that, all day, every day, for a whole 3 months, because we do quarterly collections. So at the end of every quarter of the year, we do the payments. See, so we collect, like for instance, January, Feb, March, we do a collection for the 3 months. At the end of March, now we do the payment. So that is the process, and there are as well some rules and regulations guiding the same, so that we do not see us paying a lot of false claims and everything. So the first of it is that you have to be a Conservancy landowner. As you are aware that the populations living around the Conservancy, a majority of them are Conservancy landowners, but we still have some that do not own land inside the Conservancy. So this program is entirely meant for only people whose land is in the Conservancy. So the first rule is that someone has to be a member of the Conservancy. That's an Naboisho Conservancy. Number two is that the attack must have happened within a designated grazing zone. As you are aware, probably already, that we have a grazing plan, a well-managed grazing plan. So if the attack will not have happened within a designated grazing zone, that nullifies, the validity of the claim. So if it happens within a zone that is not open for grazing that very particular time, then that nullifies the whole of it. The other rule is that if an attack, or for example, if 2 or more sheep or cows are killed during the day, that amounts to some negligence from the herder. So that again attracts a 50% payment, you see, because it is presumed that it cannot just naturally happen or easily happens that a lion can come, kill more than 2 cows, and the herder is there. A hyena may probably not get the chance to kill more than 2 sheep, when the herder is hands-on. So we sometimes treat a kill amounting to 2 or more sheep or cows to some sort of negligence. So that attracts 50% payment. The other one is when a kill happens at night. We again look at the boma structure. How is it made? Yeah, and this now being a wild animal in faded area, it is the responsibility of every person living around to make sure that the boma structure is a little improved, so that we do not see such incidences happening every day. So when we again see that the boma structure is not that improved, we treat that one again as negligence, and again that one again attracts 50% pay. See, now the other one is the reporting. We communicated early during the initiation of the program that any claim must be reported within 24 hours, from the actual time of attack. So if that one is not respected, or if the report is made 24 hours after, it actually happens, that again nullifies, the claim. We do not pay it at all, because you will not have reported within a stipulated time frame. So that is basically what we do. That is what guides the conduct of the program. So that's it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And how often would you say that you receive false claims?
Quite often, because we deal with people that are human, you see, and people will tend to get an easy, easy get into the scheme. We have a lot of incidences happening out of natural circumstances. A cow can can die of probably a snake poison, a natural death. So you are called on board. You are told that this one has been, some people will tend to cut it, by the throat.
Right.
They call you on board. They tell you that this one, happens out of an attack. They can just think of any wild animal. So false claims, happens virtually every other time. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. And hi, Jumbo. When people are, so you only give the 24 hours, and after that 24, that's it. Are there certain months or seasons? Like I know you talked about the grazing plan, so they can only go in certain areas during certain times. Are there certain months where you may find it to be higher in terms of the incidence?
Because during the rainy season, for instance, it is again. During the rainy season, particularly, you see that the numbers, the numbers of such incidences are higher than when there is no rain. So at times like this, you see that there are so many because because and again what informs the numbers of the incidences is actually the number of predators. Again, we might be having inside the conservancy because there are seasonal movements of predators in and out of the conservancy. So when there are so many inside, that translates to a rampant increase of such cases. But when a movement is done outside the conservancy such that there are not as such many inside, that again affects the numbers of incidences happening. So apart from trying to create that peaceful coexistence between the people and the wildlife, the program again helps in trying to assess the general situation of the predator movement from the conservancy and into the conservancy at times. So that affects directly the movement of predators as well, affects directly what we do in the project. Yes.
And I was speaking with the rangers earlier, and we saw some of the cattle grazing, and I was asking what happens if they cross over, and they said that they get fined. So that money that they may get fined, where does that go, and how does that help? Does it help the
compensation?
Yes.
Okay. As you are aware that we have that grazing plan, a well-managed one, and we have as well a fine imposed to people who will probably tend to do the reverse, or rather that the people that will tend to do grazing within zones that are not designated at a particular time. So there is a fine, yes, but the fine does not go to the compensation kitty. We have another program. It's called the project, or rather the infrastructure development scheme, whereby we do classrooms, we do medical facilities, we do roads maintenance. So that is part of the incentive that the Conservancy offers to the landowners. So the fine that is collected out of illegal grazing goes directly to the project's kit, not the compensation kit. So that one is there, yes, the fine is, but doesn't go to the compensation. Rather goes to the project's kit. Yes.
Okay. And is there so I know you said that in certain seasons there are more kills for cattle. Are there certain seasons for the cats versus the elephants? And when they occur, is it mostly, since these animals know no boundaries, is it mostly the animals coming into the cattle grazing zones? Or is it the grazing coming into their territory?
No, it is usually, now the livestock, the predators are looking for food. So it doesn't necessarily mean that the livestock goes to where the predators are. The predators themselves will come look for food. So they will try, most of the times, intrude into the grazing zones. But at times, the livestock again at times goes an extra mile to probably a wild animals infested area or a predator infested area, and that is what we sometimes treat as an illegal grazing because you've gone beyond a zone that is designated for grazing at that particular time. So it cross cuts, sometimes, livestock going to the predators, and at times predators coming, intruding into the designated grazing zones. So that cross cuts. Yes.
Yes. And in terms of the land, I understand that Naboisho, it's about 600 acres, maybe a little bit over.
50,000.
Wow. Okay,
Yeah,
just
yeah,
kidding.
yeah.
Wow, way off. But 50,000 acres. Have all of the owners leased their land to the Conservancy? And I'm asking because yesterday I went to Parliament and they were telling me, how some of the people were protesting and putting up fences and they gave their land here in Naboisho, and now they're in Parliament, and you still have some of the animals migrating up there. So they feel like if I did this shouldn't be happening. So they're putting up fences. Do you have any cases like that here in Naboisho?
No. What is actually keeping us together? I mean, these are two parties brought together. The people, those are the landowners, and the business partners. And what is keeping them together is actually the lease. The lease is what is keeping these two parties together. So that means 100% of over 650 landowners have all signed their parcels, into the Naboisho Conservancy. We have two different kind of leases. Of course, a difference in terms of the lease period. We have a 25-year lease, and we again have a 15-year lease. So all the landowners are either in the 25 years lease program or 15 years program, but we do not have a case where someone has not signed his or her land to the Conservancy. So entirely everybody has signed a lease. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. And the community, they've been they're supporting this and they're behind it.
Yes.
Yes.
Very
And
much.
with this, the benefits that they get from this, I know that they get like a monthly feedback and job opportunities.
Yes.
But are y'all also going into like schools to promote? I'm only asking because in America, compared to here, we see it so different. And we're like, oh my goodness, y'all are raised from like 1 and 2 year olds. When you get about 4, you're out herding and you're learning about the wildlife. And that's just mind blowing to us because that's not our normal, but it's y'all's normal. And when you go to the schools to talk to the kids, what exactly are y'all saying to them? Like, what type of lessons do you do? Do you get a lot